Welcome, these will be my thoughts on Runaways, Season 2, Episode 9, Big Shot. The episode is rated TV-14, and so will this video be, other than possibly at least some of the video recommendations I'm about to drop. The video will have spoilers for the show so far, possibly the MCU and adjacent leading up to and including when this episode first premiered. Another episode I love, once again, most of Season 2. So I actually thought this was going to be the finale, but there's like 4 more episodes or something of the season. Yeah, really excited to see where it goes. Now, I am just real quick here we go. Yeah, so YouTube video recommendations. Lily Simpson's Clavicular and Autopsy, Princess Weeks, The Problem They Are Girlfriends, Control, Loneliness, and Control, Cat Black's No One's Catcalling Trans Women, Pillboys, Whitey's Still on the Moon, and Lucretia McEvil's Wilmington Massacre. That one is, well, yeah, several of these, they're not necessarily the most fun to watch, but they are really, really important. So, gonna try to keep this chronological, and yeah, let's dive right in. So, I didn't love that the very start of the episode, like, it was very like early Alias, this thing of like ending an episode on a cliffhanger and then immediately resolving it very, very easily. But I think other things in the episode made up for it. So, and it was genuinely fun, and I also like the it did a good job of setting up yeah, this thing of I mean, Flores doesn't really listen to AWOL, doesn't really respect him, and that helps explain why AWOL takes over for him. But yeah, let's see, I think, yeah, it was great, the part with, and the way that Molly, she understood her job for this scene. She's supposed to antagonize the antagonists, and I'm here for it. Like, with both of them, she manages to say things that really get under their skin, and it's especially, she tells AWOL that he's just Flores' dog, and right after AWOL says, "I'm nobody's dog," then Flores comes in and, like, literally, you know, tells him what to do exactly. So yeah, and the bit with, so Flores turns his back on Molly. She goes, "Never turn your back on me," and rips open the cuffs, and smash cut, and then, or yeah, smash cut away from that. Next time we see her, she's got Flores over her head. And yeah, it was also great, the thing with the where are the rest of the runaways? Maybe they're still in the hotel. Oh, they're probably, incriminating you right now. And yeah, the runaways deciding, what to do. I have to admit, at first I wasn't entirely sure if Carolina would show up, considering recent events, but it is great to see that she did. And yeah, the thing with, like, put down the crooked cop. Okay, and she just lets, very poor choice of words. And yeah, the relationship between Livy and Alex, I also thought worked well. You have the thing about, like, the Livy's coming home with us, and I think Chase is like, "Thanks for making the decision for all of us," which is, of course, one of the themes. The rest of the episode, he's also making executive decisions, which yeah, and Livy's like, including for me. And then you have the thing about, like, "Well, I'm just saying, it'd be safer. You can come home to my place, and then tomorrow we'll figure out, I mean, if you want to sleep over, do you want me to sleep over?" And then I think it's was it Gert who said that was rom-com cute, but we got to figure out where we're going, or something along those lines. But that's, yeah, quite good. And let's see. Yeah, they realize about the phones, and so go home. Is this also around the place where we see something happen to old Lace? That was also, the way that developed over the course of the episode. Yeah. Let's see. I think that does get us to the yeah, and so there's the sharing of the cell phone video, which, and it is very clever because that would definitely incriminate AWOL. And let's see, yeah, I really liked Molly saying Livy's more than proven herself to us. And I think, is that maybe around the time when we see that Lace is not eating? And I really do appreciate, I did worry slightly. I mean, hopefully they would have, made something that just looked like, that leaf. But even so, like, I appreciate they spared the actress and the character the indignity of putting that leaf in her mouth. And yeah, Molly goes to, she finds Chase and convinces him to come help. And that little thing about, she Gert just, what was it? Gert is insecure or something like that. And she's like, did she tell you that? No, I'm getting really good at this giving people advice thing. She's not wrong. And let's see, it's just great that she found something that she feels good about and is great at. She was really struggling with that in season 1. So were the writers for her. Anyway, I think that pretty much does. Yeah, and Chase trying to make things right, and them talking and him acknowledging that he does understand this thing of, let's see, the thing is brought up about, is it so awful for her to imagine a future without him? And let's see, I think that is when we have the is that maybe when Pride decide they're gonna fight the they have to get ready to deal with the kids. I think it might be around there. Let's at least do this scene. Let's put in the video. That was also really great. And the thing about, like, pointing out, of course Victor would say that he hurt his own kid. And he assures them this time it's not about hurting them, but that is, I mean, sometimes abusive people will say that they're better, and I'm not saying, that none of them can get better, although I would definitely say the decision of whether or not they're okay enough to be around the people they've abused, that decision is up to those who have been abused and, like, professional, people. Yeah, not for anyone else. Anyway, I think that does. Is this maybe also around? I think that's when the So the thing with the breakfast, and she's like, you know what, I'll just have saltines and peanut butter, and then Molly comes, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta grab the saltines, because maybe old Lace will eat that. And and certainly that's going to be, more okay for Gert to eat, if the idea is for Gert to eat something and then Lace will as well. Yeah, I think that does cover. I feel like there's at least one more thing, but what on earth was it? yeah, maybe that's when. So yeah, we have Robert and Victor working, and then I like the Dale and Stacy thing. Thanks for including us. But the bit with the yeah the Janet saying this is I'm joining the boys club, which I'm not entirely sure if she's gonna help or if she's gonna try to sabotage or what. Right, and around here is where yeah, Livy suggests there's that thing about there's a great place. I've seen AWOL there, and Alex does, as some of the Runaways sometimes do, perhaps more often than they should, and lies to the other Runaways, and yeah, once again, like, not a great plan. And he provokes AWOL. I'm not saying that what happens next is even remotely okay, but if there was going to be any chance of the situation working, I definitely think, hypothetically, let's say that Alex had talked this over with the others. I feel like someone, maybe Nico, would probably suggested, well, if Nico uses the staff, she can, remove the threat of, she can pause everyone except AWOL, and then they, get the gun away from AWOL, and, they can have a conversation, possibly not in that place. They maybe, get him into the car, blindfold him, and, talk to him somewhere else. But the way that Alex handles it, he does not control the situation at all. And let's see, I think, and I totally understand his thinking, because he, when he says there's, let's see, the thing about the footage of him at the mall, that is, we can understand why he thinks, that's going to sufficiently intimidate AWOL, but that's not really enough to, yeah. I think that does get us. So yeah, ultimately they resolved that situation without fighting, but the tension and suspense was sufficient, and it's important character stuff. It, you know, I mean that is that not that's one of the things that leads Livy to leave. Yeah, Alex really is. He has a very bad habit of lying and manipulating, and that driving away the women that he cares about. Now, I think, yeah, it was such a powerful moment when, that thing about, like, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And, yeah, the thing about, Jeffrey confronts Flores. A lot happens in this episode. Very impressed with how much, yeah. And Flores insists, he didn't know about the strike team because AWOL didn't call him. And let's see, I feel like that brings us to the part where, yeah, so when Alex and Livy go back to Mars, AWOL is there. Tamar's practicing her ADR ventriloquism. I mean, I do think that line needed to be in there. I think when they were editing it, they were like, we're gonna need some kind of, because like when she turns back around, all she said is, we're partners, aren't we? And I do think we needed at least a tiny bit more. And that's, yeah, um, I think that does it. Yeah, and Alex says he'll make a deal with AWOL, and Livy is not happy about it and throws him out. And of course, AWOL double crosses because, he doesn't have that much incentive to go with, he wants those paychecks too that Flores was getting. not nice bit of setup and payoff, subversion of expectation, because like I thought this was going to mean that Flores was going to do something. Well, I suppose it's possible that he would have, yeah, I mean, he was going to hurt Molly. But instead, we end up with AWOL replacing him because he also wants the checks, and he is in some ways worse than Flores. He is more, yeah, out of control, kind of. And I don't think that that's a non-white versus white thing. I hope the show doesn't either. I think it's the fact that Flores is like comfortable, whereas AWOL is up and coming. Let's see. I think that might cover the. Yeah. So we have the part with the let's see. What's the other one? Yeah. The. Yeah. So and he goes directly to Pride. Does not pass go, but does collect money. Yeah, obviously now it's going to be the yeah, because he gives them all the dirt that Flores had on them, which makes them more okay with not working with Flores anymore, and they're going to need someone. Now it's going to be AWOL, and it also means Alex has nothing on the at least not all of Pride. I mean, I suppose maybe they have enough to put Catherine away, but that's also, is that what Alex, it certainly wouldn't solve the entire problem. The rest of Pride would still be around. But yeah, and I think it was Livy who called him on, he's just so determined to get revenge on his parents that he's not, yeah. And yeah, Livy, shows up before Alex even wakes up in the morning and tells the rest of the Runaways, which I think is, once again, one of these, really great cases of, so a number of guys don't like when women talk about them. I'll go ahead and use the word gossip because, frankly, at this point, I just use it neutrally. Let me know in the comments if there's a more neutral term. But the thing is, first of all, men gossip as well. They just like to call it networking. And when I was a child and teenager, being a cis man, I distinctly remember witnessing many, many cases of guys gossiping where it was in order to hurt someone else, making accusations behind their back so they couldn't defend themselves, and then using that to try to destroy them is what they would do. I did not participate, but, it happened in, for example, the locker room, so it's not like I couldn't be present. And from what I've heard, and I'm not saying this is universal, but I've heard that a bunch of the time when women gossip, it's because they're trying to figure out how to solve a problem. Like, for example, if one of their girlfriends is currently in a relationship, romantic or otherwise, with someone who's abusive, sometimes, as much as it sucks, sometimes it is necessary to talk about that without the person present because they're not ready to listen, and you have to figure out a way to keep them safe. And I'm not talking about gender essentialism here. I'm talking about socialization. And I'm not saying there's something inherently wrong with going against the socialization for your gender. I do think we men could learn a lot from the way women are socialized. Anyway, and one of the things is, another thing, I really don't want it to sound like I think, that I appreciate let's see, I forget who, but some, a while back, I suppose that, yeah, there was a tweet that included the words, I believe black women will save us. And that, while, there's some kindness to but that's also putting tremendous pressure on a minority group. And that's, I'm trying to not do that here. I'm not saying because of the way women are socialized, they have to solve all the problems of the world. I'm saying we men could alter the way we socialize future generations of men to more resemble the way women socialize, young women, in order to get to a place where we can take a significant chunk of the burden so that women don't have to carry it all on their own. But yeah, in this scene, we are seeing, Livy is talking about something about Alex behind his back, and it's to help the others because he put them in danger, and he's doing, they already saw some of that. He did it again, this time without them even present. They deserve to know so they can make a decision. It is not impossible that this is going to culminate in him being removed from the Runaways. And I did appreciate him pointing out, he's not the only one lying, and, he doesn't come right out and say it, perhaps because Livy's present and that would be a bit intense, but, he's clearly implying, well, Nico killed Jonah, that was worse than what I've done. And I like the bit with, Chase is like, hey, Alex, there's no I in team. The coach taught me that. Oh, and also the bit where, he's like, oh, I can't believe I'm talking about, the way he's talking about his relationship with Kirk. My teammates would think I was ridiculous for this. And Marley, like, insults them, and it's like, I'm sorry. No, wait, I'm not. And yeah, for real, like, it's, yeah. I am so glad that I've been able to cut, some people out of my life where, when I was a child and teenager, I didn't have much choice of who to socialize with because we were in the same class day in, day out. But since then, I've been able to cut, them out of my life, and I no longer have to deal with them just being jerks to me and others. And let's see. Yeah, I think that might be around where we see Stacy, and I think that's where my memory for the names ends. It's annoying because I feel like I know most of the letters, but I cannot quite determine what order. And my wrists are too short to check right now, but yeah, Nico's mom are both behaving very oddly and then snap out of it. And I definitely think it's related to the UFO exploding so close to them. Right now, my theory remains Invasion of the Body Snatchers-esque. I suppose it's possible it's something else, because certainly they did seem to snap out of it, which I feel like, I guess it's possible that it is that maybe the aliens were injured, wounded, and then, now they can't completely control the host, because, like, clearly the Jonah alien was in complete control of Jonah from when, I think from the moment that he took over back in, was it like the 50s, I think, and until the spirit was expelled by Nico and the staff. But it might also be that there was some kind of virus, because, like, it is a thing. There are, sometimes one can be a carrier of a virus without being infected themselves, and if they come into close proximity to another people who are susceptible to that virus, that could, yeah. I think... Oh, I like seeing a woman tell a man to make a sandwich instead of the gamer banter, if that's what I'm going to call it. And I think, if you haven't looked at, yeah, see, the thing is, I don't exactly know how you find it, but Julia Lipetit did a fantastic comic about the whole make me a sandwich thing. Very funny. And I think the, but also, yeah, in part because one of the things, so I noticed that both of them are hungry. That sounds like something that might be an effect of a wounded foreign presence inside them. It needs sustenance. Not only was she eating cake, did she like have that order or brought delivered? Is that right? Because like I don't know that because clearly she cut it herself. You know, they didn't. She didn't find leftover cake or something. And yeah, you know, she's talking about the way it impacts her brain and the various, you know, once again, sounds like an alien just figuring out, you know, because maybe this alien, yeah, I guess the other aliens, the ones from the ship, the other than John Alien, the aliens we've met so far have not been inside human bodies, and they were lost in that hole for a while, or before it even was a hole, I guess. Yeah, I think does that cover the yeah. Really looking forward to seeing what happens next. Very dramatic with Lace, you know, possibly dying and the connection, you know, possibly. I see that. Yeah, I don't know if that's the connection between them that's why Gert collapses, or if it's something else. Because like maybe she has an alien inside her, and this is again where like if that is what it is, Carolina might, you know, this is a situation where she's going to have to choose between, or she might have to choose between the aliens inhabiting, you know, the people she knows, or, you know, helping the people, because like it's yeah. I guess that does cover the, I feel like there was at least one more thing I really wanted to make sure to say. Honestly, the CG on Lace wasn't too bad in this episode. They mostly got, like, there was one spot, I think it was maybe when it was like sort of collapsing, that didn't look completely real, but at least good, some of the CG was good stuff. Yeah, I guess this, I feel like there's, let's see, what else is there? Let's see. So the yeah, and ultimately AWOL betrays Tamar as well, and yeah, get information, and that's, yeah, genuinely really tense. And with the burner phones dropped, I'm not sure Tamar can even contact the Runaways, even if that is, if she wants to, in order to, I guess maybe she could contact Jeffrey and question that. It was also great when you know, Tamar confronted them about Darius when they come to her home where her baby sleeps.